The thing that's really important is touch. I noticed this for myself that when I would go to the doctor, nobody touches me anymore. The doctor comes in, maybe the person that does your vital signs, she puts a blood pressure cuff around you and then steps back and then doesn't even bother telling you what the readings are, whether they're good or not good. Or what I've noticed with my patients is once we get to know each other, I give them hugs, hello, and goodbye. Some of those people haven't been touched in 40 years.
So I am so excited, Gail Patterson, to have you join us on our Golden Years Empowerment podcast. We go back a long time. We were both nursing students back in Toronto at Toronto East General Hospital. It was fond memories. We've all moved on since then, of course. We're going to talk about all the fun things that we've done since to advance our careers. And what we're focusing on in this podcast is how we help people stay strong, sharp, and thrive to 95 and beyond. And we're both in our mid-70s, I'll say it that way. And we feel, at least I feel like I'm in my mid-20s. How are you feeling right now, Gail?
Well, hi, Gail. Hi, everybody. It has been a long time since we were in nursing school. It's been over 55 years. So we graduated in 1969. I am leaving my mid-70s. I'll be 79 in 2 months. Yeah, so much has happened. So how am I feeling? I'm feeling great. This is my favorite decade. I mean, every decade taught us stuff. Like I remember, I certainly wouldn't want to be under 50 again, but in the 50s I got my creativity. In the 60s I started to explore my spiritual heritage. In my 70s, I don't know, it's just so cool to be in your 70s. Somebody said to me, men can procreate until they're in their 90s. Women cannot produce after the age of about 45 or 50. There's exceptions, but there's menopause. But we do tend to live longer than men, and we are the wise people. Our job in our 70s is to pass our wisdom down to younger generations, to each other, and I really take that job seriously. There's a word for it. It's like a crone, but I can't remember the name of women, older women that are wise.
Yes, and in some Aboriginal tribes in other countries, the women were, or maybe still are, the foundation of the community, and they're the wise ones in the community. Things have possibly changed since then, but still in all, we, I believe, hold the family together and hold our friends together. So I'd like to share how you transitioned from being a fresh-faced nursing student to being a concierge nurse. I mean, what even is a concierge nurse?
Okay, first of all, I did leave nursing for a while. Gail and I actually both went into the life insurance business at one point. We were the first women hired in Toronto as career agents. It wasn't a male-dominated field at the time. It was male-monopolized. It was incredible for a female to be selling insurance. I loved it, and we both did very well. Gail went on to pursue the stock market and other things. But what happened for me is it was sort of like, it was more of a spiritual journey. I just sort of felt like I felt I was successful. I knew that to go to the next level of success, I would be entering big time men's world. Actually, to be honest with you, I couldn't back it up. I knew I would have to compromise some integrity to really make it, and I just couldn't do it. But I sort of had heard of this woman in California that made $200,000 a year. This was in 1985. $200,000 a year, and she didn't do it the way men did it. So I wanted to know about her. Just coincidentally, someone came to Toronto, where I was living at the time, and just talked about what this woman thought. And for the first time, it was like, I'd been to church, I'd done all this stuff, but I felt it was the truth. But I also knew if I went back another time to hear more, I was going to lose everything. I was going to lose my house, my husband, my career, everything. I just knew it. And I went back, and that's exactly what happened. 6 months later, I got in a car. I moved to California because I wanted to find myself, and I just didn't return. And it was at that point I went back into nursing, and I had a lot of interesting nursing things. And then the pandemic hit. I saw it as a business opportunity. I thought people aren't going to want to leave their house to go and get blood draws done or, get their dressings changed, stuff like that. So why don't I do it? So I called my business Florence Nightingale, GAIL, and Nursing on the Go, and that's how I started it. From a business perspective, I knew I needed to find what is called a center of influence. I knew I needed to establish a contact with somebody who would be able to use my services. And it took me about a year to find that person. She is a conservator. She gets assigned by the courts to take over people's host's financial situations, and we've worked together now for many years, and I am now like the case manager. When she has a patient that requires medical care, I do it all. So I've been working with her for about 5 years now, but I had to use my entrepreneurial skills, plus I use my nursing. The thing I like about my nursing skills is we were taught basic nursing skills. We were taught communication. And when we went through training, when I graduated in 1969, there was no cure for cancer. You just made people comfortable. I've had other things that I've done in nursing that really taught me great assessment skills. And so I felt very qualified to go out and start my own business. I only work on referral. And yeah, it's a pretty successful business. That's my story.
So, yeah, no, that's fascinating. I mean, I've heard of concierge doctors where they charge let's just say a retainer, similar to the way an attorney does, and then the patient can call the doctor whenever they feel like it, and they've got the doctor's attention. Is that similar to what you do?
No,
do you charge like a
no, because I work with there's two ways I do it. I work with the conservator, and they're her patients. I charge as I go. I have an hourly rate, and I have a separate rate for my time that it takes to get there and time that. So I have those two rates. I bill the conservator, and she issues the check, or she forwards the check on to the person who's writing the checks for that client. When I do personal clients, like people that were referred to me other than through her, I bill the client or the client's family directly. So I just do it by the hour. My patients do need me all the time, but they can, in that hourly rate that I charge for face-to-face contacts, it's enough. That includes a lot of them calling me, emails, texts. I don't charge for those separately, basically because it's too hard. I mean, it's too hard to push a button every time you talk to somebody, so I just have a rate that I can live with, and it's all inclusive.
Right. And is there a typical profile of a patient that you would work with, like age or gender or
Yes.
circumstances?
Most, except with the exception of one woman who wanted to preserve her eggs. She's 35, nobody on the horizon, but she does know she wants to have a baby. I had to work with her and give her all the injections and take her for when they removed them and put them in the freezer. She was the only young person that I've really dealt with. I deal always with older clients. If they're conserved, obviously they can't make their own medical decisions. I'm often introduced to them early medical assessment. Like they aren't incapacitated. A lot of it's just gaining their trust and filling their medi sets and taking them to appointments and just really developing a relationship with them. But all of my patients do die. Sometimes it happens in a year, sometimes it'll happen in 3 years, but it's going to happen. And my job, I see my job as just helping them with the transition from the day I meet them to the day they pass. It's wonderful because for me as a job, because when they do actually pass, it's me that gets to deal with the caregivers. If they had a family, they probably wouldn't be conserved. So very often the caregivers that are there at the end, it's my job to be with the caregivers and help them through that part. And then, it's an unusual job, what it's turned into. Originally it was getting urine samples, taking blood, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm very close to my patients, and I'm really close to the families if there are any involved. But we have a whole team of people that when I work with a conservator, there's lawyers, I'm the medical, there's a conservator. Every case is different, but we do work as a team, but we're all independent. The caregivers are usually provided by an agency that we hire that specializes with them. All of my patients, all of them are male so far. In the last few years, they've all had Parkinson's disease, which I think is interesting. And eventually, they all have memory problems. So that is the area that I'm working in.
I know that you're a very warm and personal type of person. How do you preserve their dignity and their independence? How do they feel like they are not just a patient, not just making their transition?
That's a really great question because that's the part. First of all, my communication skills are great. I meet them where they are. Because I was in sales, I know not to just walk in and take a blood pressure and leave. I know you have to wait until they sort of give you permission. It doesn't even matter whether they're in real time or not. You still have to make a connection. You have to find some way to make a connection. What can I say? I never wear scrubs or anything. I always dress like this. They know I'm the nurse, but I think they appreciate me dressing up for them. I become sort of like somebody they can trust. That part of it is really, really important. They're real people to me. Whereas when I did work for an agency, you're in and out. Here's a story. This agency wanted me to catheterize this man twice a day, and they weren't paying very well, and so I was trying to negotiate the pay and for what I thought it was worth. And the woman said to me, "Oh, for heaven's sake, you'll be in and out in 15 minutes. And I said to her, if I'm going to go in and hold a man's penis and put a tube in it, I think I should at least say hello. And so we ended up, negotiating a half hour, which was really all the time I needed. I did stay often a lot longer to talk with the family and talk with the caregivers and stuff. But that initial thing where they feel comfortable with you and you feel comfortable with them, I don't believe you should, I really don't think I should start anything until I get that sort of nod from them that, okay, let's move on.
Absolutely. I hear you. I guess in every facet of my life in sales or working with my late husband in a business, it's all about the relationship, something that you establish right from the beginning. You find a common bond, whether it's where you came from or a common interest, maybe sports or maybe painting or whatever it is. There is always something to bond with in the beginning where you just relate as human beings. And then you get into, well, how can I help you? Or how you're going to help them. But as you said, you get their agreement that you can help them.
The thing that's really important is touch. I noticed this for myself, that when I would go to the doctor, nobody touches me anymore. The doctor comes in, maybe the person that does your vital signs, she puts a blood pressure cuff around you and then steps back and then doesn't even bother telling you what the readings are, whether they're good or not good, or even though they know I'm a nurse. It's very impersonal. What I've noticed with my patients is once we get to know each other, I give them hugs, hello, and goodbye. Do you know some of those people haven't been touched in 40 years? I just recently worked with 3 brothers that were sort of like hermits. It was a very complicated case, but every time I saw them, I hugged them. And their driver, they were very wealthy people, but the driver said to me, the way their faces light up when you hug them. And touch is really, really important, and people don't get touch. I know it's okay if I do it because I ask permission. Yeah, but that personal thing, as far as their dignity, even if I'm there to do something personal, I'm very careful that they aren't exposed. I get their permission, I tell them what I'm going to be doing, but at the same time we're relating as friends. And my latest addition is I have a dog named Audrey. Audrey's been certified as a comfort dog. I take her on all my cases and it makes a huge difference. She seems to know who it is that needs to be seen, and she usually settles on their lap or cuddles up with them while I'm doing whatever I have to do. And it's, again, if the person has dementia, that's really a big deal. It's a big deal.
Yes, I bet it would be a lot. I've read that in seniors' homes and such that they do bring in dogs, sometimes cats, but usually dogs to be, as you say, comfort dogs. And it's a big hit, unless somebody particularly doesn't like animals, but I don't know that happens too often. But touch is really, I remember as a nursing student vividly that we were taught when we walked in a room to take the person's hand and smile and say, hi, or how are you, or introduce yourself. Just that touch of the hand and the smile, because they're looking for hope. They're looking for some kind of encouragement because they're being done to all the time. And somehow, even though I'm there it could be anything, could be even just to give them a medication or whatever else at that time, at least you can make it into a personal experience. I know when babies are born, little preemie babies and brand new babies, it's really important that they have skin to skin, not just be held with their clothes on, but actually skin to skin really helps them thrive, especially if they're not doing well right at the beginning. So why wouldn't that be the same when we get older, of course? We want that skin to skin. So how do you manage your emotional attachment to these people when you realize that it's only a short time, year to 3 years, that you might be with them, and you know that it's a final journey? How do you maintain your emotional detachment or attachment?
First of all, I'm not codependent I'm not codependent. It still is a business and I still am me and they are, though I know where I end and they start. I never feel I miss them, but to me, that's my job. I help them with their transition. And it's part of the whole process. And it's just it's so amazing to be so part of it. Just part of it for the family. I've learned a lot about boundaries. I learned a lot from hospice nurses. Everybody talks about how great hospice nurses are. Just recently had the opportunity to actually work with them on a case, and they are amazing. They are who nurses were always meant to be. I don't know why my dog is barking, but she is.
She misses you.
That's right.
She misses you. Maybe she wants to be introduced and she hasn't been asked
some
yet.
Point right now. Now we're trying to discipline her. Yeah, so I'm never upset. I always feel like as soon as they pass, then I'm immediately there for the caregivers. And we talk about it. The last person that died, I rounded them all up and we all went out for lunch. And we talked about, our memories of the person and funny things that happened. And yeah, people ask me that questions a lot, but I'm just glad it's not like they're gone. It's not like I don't miss them or, we talk about them or whatever, but my job is finished and we move on. I just have good feelings about them all.
I know that you are a longtime advocate of PEMF. Can you explain how that works and what you do with that?
Let me just tell you what it is here comes the little girl now. Let's just have a look at Audrey. This is Audrey. This is my
At long last, Audrey.
Audrey was abandoned when she was 7 years old. I just got her last February. They told me she was 7, but I think she's older. But she's my little comfort dog. She's a good dog. She's a perfect dog, actually. She was sent to me to save me. My last dog, when he died, I cried for an entire year. I
remember Blue.
Yeah, Dear Blue, right? So what I do is another thing that I do is I have a job. I'm a distributor for something called a BEMER, and it's not the carb. It is it improves circulation. Way back when, I always felt that people didn't have to be in the hospital. There's something different. It was diet, yes. It was exercise, yes. But so I had heard about this apparatus, and I had heard that it improved circulation, but I just heard about it. I was out walking about 9 years ago. I was out for a walk, and all of a sudden my foot I couldn't weight bear on it anymore. Incredible discomfort. I ended up walking for 2 miles on my heel to get home. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm 68 years old. I can't afford not to be able to walk. I need an income. This can't be happening. I went to the hospital. I got 2 different diagnoses, both which were considered chronic and too bad, so sad. But I remembered this BEMER. And I decided to go and find out about it. And a friend of mine, her boyfriend, was selling them. So I went to this event. And when I got on it, I didn't feel anything. But what I found out is in only 26% of all of our circulation is because of our heart and because of our veins and arteries. The other 76% is microcirculations, those little wee tiny capillaries that are about the thickness of your hair is responsible for 76% of our circulation. What this thing does is it stimulates that circulation. So 8 minutes twice a day, you lie on this bed, which I keep in my bed, so I just do it before I get up and before I go to bed. If I went out for a jog, I would increase my microcirculation about 8%. With this 8 minutes a day, twice a day, you increase your circulation 30%. So to make a short story even longer, tried this. I just decided to buy it. I decided just to try it. And 6 weeks later, I was back to work full time. I can tell you I've been using it every day since 2016. Have never had a problem with that foot since I've had inklings, in which case I Pay special attention, but I've never had a problem since. So I'm pretty excited about it.
So what is it exactly? Is it a mat or is it a wrap?
What it does is this mat. It's just like you put it on your bed. There's also what is called, there's a strap that comes with it, and you can put it like you have a specific problem, your ankles, your knees, your elbows. But what it does is it sends a signal. It's German made. It's actually Swiss made, but it was German devised. The headquarters is in Germany. But the big thing is for me is that it's a class 2 FDA approved medical device. So it's extremely safe, it's regulated, and if people want to know, I could just give them my website, and if they want to contact me, that's fine. But the big thing is, I do believe for brain health, for physical health, we have to keep our circulation going. And as we get older, those little capillaries, they can look like a major highway, on Christmas, Christmas Day or something, shopping. The blood is just chugging along like they're in a parking lot, but you can go on the BEMER for 8 minutes and the circulation improves 30%. I really believe it's like almost a fountain of youth. I believe that's why I'm able to work at the energy level I can at 79, and I'm pretty pleased with it. But that's just part of it. That's just a whole other section of my services.
So when somebody wants one of those, you just send it to them, or how do you help people with those?
When they buy it from Germany. But the thing I like about it is education. As people become educated, then they make a choice whether they want to participate or not. And the educational process it's really important. You can't sell it. People have to decide to buy it, and that's why I like it. In the whole company, I think the return rate is 0.1%, something like that. It's all over Europe. It's been here for 25 years in the United States. So let me just give you my website if people are interested.
Okay.
They can go
What is
to, it's nursegail.bemergroup, BEMERGROUP.com.
And Gail is GAIL, right? Yeah. So say it again, please.
nursegail.bemergroup.com.
Okay, great. And I'll put a link in the show notes as well. They can just click on it and go to that, and then you'll get it, and then contact them and help them choose the right model.
I want people to be aware that circulation is really important. And you think about almost everything you hear about, whether it's diabetes and the complications of diabetes, heart, lungs, it's all circulation. I think that makes a big difference.
Well, it sounds like you are really enjoying your concierge nursing as well as your helping people with the BEMER device. Was there anything else that you would like to discuss while we're on this call today, Gail?
Something that has come out of conversations you and I have had, all the women that I know that are in my group, it's interesting, we're all in our 70s and 80s and we're all working. We all have purpose. I mean, I'm certainly, don't get me wrong, I want the money. I like the money. I like to spend money. To have a passion at this age. I also got really involved with social justice a couple of years ago, and I'm so grateful because that's taken me down a whole other path where I really feel I'm giving. At our age, we don't need anything. I mean, if I want something, I'll just buy it. But what we need to do is to be able to give back, I think. If I'm feeling a little bit depressed or just making a connection, I talk about in my day I have to do the 4 C's. And every day we have to have contact. However that is, we have to connect with other people. I have to do something creative. Creativity could just be the way I dress that day. It could be the way I serve my soup. I mean, that's ridiculous. But we have to, I believe, we have to do something creative. We definitely have to be curious. I think people that aren't curious about anything, I think it's their life gets pretty small pretty quickly. I think we have to have compassion. Very much have to find compassion. I think at our age, I've been on the planet almost 79 years. It's time for me to go back with my experiences and I meet people where they are. I understand a lot more at this age than I did when I was younger, that we're all different. We all have different problems. We all have different approaches, and to be able to meet people where they are, and above all, a sense of humor. And I think
absolutely,
I agree with your philosophy. If I can afford it, I hope I can afford to live to 95 or so or 100. But grateful for my health. I am so grateful for my health.
Yeah, health is wealth. I know that's an old saying. And you and I have seen too many people when they get into their 60s, they start to decline because they're not maintaining their muscle health, their muscle strength. I know you exercise. And another C in your 4Cs, I would think, would be cuisine. I understand that you love to cook for yourself and for others as well. Any secret recipes that we should find out about on this show? Is there something special you
No,
like
but
to
I
make?
keep it simple. I do have an eating disorder that I'm very addicted to sugar, and sugar, that's what cancer needs to live. But I am addicted to it. In some ways, people are addicted to alcohol. It is a substance that I use, that just food generally, but particularly flour and sugar. I use those items to cope with life. And so that's what sort of got me more into the spiritual part of my life, because I can't continue to be addicted to something and carry on. So I do eat a very healthy diet. I find it effortless to do it because there are plenty of places that can help people if they have that kind of addiction going on. It is as crippling as heroin or anything else. The only problem is you still got to eat 3 times a day. So it does take some coaching to be able to go over it. So I'm really into self-care. And the way I exercise, the way I eat, the way I sleep, all of those things, I mean, they're all ways to promote brain health, which is just as important as any other muscle in your body. It's just self-care. And it's like that whole thing on the airplane. You have to put your own oxygen mask on before you can save the child with you. It's the same. We have to put ourselves first. And as women, we're not used to doing that. We're used to sacrificing our needs so that other people can feel better or do better. I would think self-care is probably one of the most challenging parts as we get older.
Well, Gail, it's just been such a pleasure talking to you. I know we talk to each other once a week. When I go paddleboarding on Sundays, generally I'm either on my way there or on my way back, or sometimes we even talk while I'm out there
on the
paddleboarding.
Right?
So I know it's really important to have self-care. I find going out on my board and going through the mangroves and just enjoying the peace and quiet and being in nature, that's so important for mental health as well as my physical health. So I'm glad that you're taking care of yourself too, and so glad to meet Audrey, and she's a blessing too for your mental health as well as others.
She is. So
there's a link that you can click on so you can grab your free guide. It's called 7 Daily Habits to Stay Strong, Sharp, and Thrive to 95. It's packed with simple, powerful routines so you can start feeling healthier and younger every day, live your best at any age. Just click that link in the description below.